Hi, everybody. We're going to get started. I just had to download the questions so that I could make sure to answer all the questions. So, hi, I'm Julia Campbell. If you have never done a webinar with me, this is Pee-wee's Playhouse in my background. Actually, I'm going to change it because I'm kind of done with Zoom backgrounds for the day because I've been on Zoom all day. So, oh, this is a good one though, too. I like this one, but then it looks crazy. So if you use Zoom backgrounds, make sure you send me your favorite ones. This one's pretty good. This one's good. My Leslie note back. Oh, Parks and Rec reunion tonight at 8:30. Just remember that. This is my real office. All right. So let's go through the questions. Thank you for coming to my office hours. And I will follow up with you after this with a recording and notes and any notes and resources that we talk about during these office hours. I will follow up with you. So you can still answer questions if you're here live, and you can put things in the chat. I would love to know where people are watching from and how they're feeling today on a scale of like 1 to 10, maybe. Are you walking through chilly? What's the weather like where you are? Tell me something fun in the chat. Have you been on Zoom calls all day? Because I think we've all been on Zoom calls all day. But let's get right to the questions so that we can get through it. Thank you so much for submitting these really, really in-depth questions. I really appreciate them. I think you take a lot of time and a lot of effort into thinking these through. Oh my goodness. Okay. When should we start posting, emailing regarding Giving Tuesday Now? At what point should the actual asks begin? Should that happen only on 5/3? I'm assuming you mean May 5th because that's Giving Tuesday Now. Or should it happen in the days leading up to that? How soon? How much is too soon? In terms of donor fatigue with asks, we have a very small staff. This is a very specific question. So I can answer how much is too much in terms of donor fatigue because I was just on a webinar and a group call about this today. Donors are not fatigued right now. They're not. They're not getting asked. People are not fundraising. We live in this world where we think everybody is fundraising all the time. But if you take a regular person who is not in the nonprofit world and you ask them, more likely than not, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, I know there's need, but I haven't gotten any asks. I haven't gotten any solicitations. And I'm just speaking for myself as a donor that has a million clients around the world, a database. I must be in 10,000 donor databases. I have received a total of 10 solicitations since this thing started. 10 in 7 weeks. 10. I don't have donor fatigue. It's not happening, right? If your donors have not been asked by you, they are not going to be fatigued by you. So definitely one person is probably going to email you back and be horrible and say, oh, I'm tired and there's too many asks. But please don't worry about that one person because that one person is always going to do that to you. So I just don't see donors being fatigued right now. I see a lot of organizations kind of burying their head in the sand, being a wallflower a little bit, saying, oh, well, we don't provide COVID-19 direct relief, so we're not going to ask, or we don't want to offend our donors. But the truth is, if we want to keep our lights on and keep our missions going, we have to ask for donations if we need it. If you have an endowment and you don't need donations, then don't ask for them. But I'm really willing to bet that most of us need the donations to subsist. And there's never a perfect time to do fundraising. It's never going to happen where all the stars align and everybody is rich and no one has gotten an email that day. There's just never going to be a perfect time to fundraise. So I think that this thing where we think donors are fatigued, it's probably because we're fatigued. We're tired thinking about it and we think we're sending too much, but they really They really are not. So I can't answer a single one of these questions because I don't know anything about your audience. I don't know anything about how often you post right now. I don't have enough information. So this would be like if I met you in the grocery store, and we're both wearing masks and we're socially distancing. And I said to you, so, where should I buy my house? And like, what realtor should I use? And you would say, I don't know, because I don't know your preferences. I don't know where you want to live. Do you have kids? Do you want to live in a school district? Do you like freezing cold weather that's cloudy every day? Because then you should probably choose to live in Boston, which is where I live. So I definitely can't answer this question about, how many segments, how many emails, how many posts, because I don't know what you've been doing. I don't know your audience. I don't know what they're responding to. But if you're really small staff, then, I would really just write an impassioned appeal from your executive director saying exactly what you're raising the money for, talking to me, a video ideally, saying, this is what's happening. This is what we're seeing on the ground. This is the reality of this. And if you could help support our mission through this crisis, then we'll be able to see it through. Oh, Mary, sunny and warm in the Florida Panhandle today. Santa Fe, New Mexico, 85 degrees, overcast, says Kim. Oh my goodness. Well, it's what, 45 and overcast here. I don't even know what it is. I haven't been outside today. My kids have been playing outside, so that probably means it's not raining. So, I mean, the limited manpower, I would call your donors. Don't even worry about Giving Tuesday now. Just don't worry about it. Call your donors, see how they are. Send out some emails. I don't know how much fundraising you've been doing before this. If you haven't done any fundraising, then definitely start doing some. But to me, it's not about the tools, it's about the message. It doesn't matter how many social media posts you send out if you don't have anything to say. So what are the stories? What's the impact? What does it, what does it mean to the community and to society if you can't fulfill your mission? And if you're looking for examples of what people are doing right now, I have an entire, all panelists, sometimes I hate Zoom. I have an entire, an entire Google Drive. So you go to bit.ly, NP COVID. I'm trying to type it into the chat and it's not working. All panelists and attendees. bit.ly, NP COVID. I'm actually going to type it in right here so you will see it. bit.ly, NP COVID. And these are all sorts of examples that people have sent me and that I've compiled kind of from around the web. So there's great social media updates here. There's great virtual events in here. There's fundraising appeals, not all of which I've received, just some that I've seen, some that I've received, for all different things, for all different verticals, for historical societies and museums and libraries and zoos and food banks and everything under the sun. So I just don't believe that there's a non-COVID essential charity. Oh no, now I'm gonna have to find that. All right, well, bear with me while I find the questions. Oh, there we go. Okay. If we've already run a successful COVID campaign over the last 4 weeks, is it still advisable to do Giving Tuesday now? I don't know. I mean, do you need more money? I would say thank people. If you've already run a successful campaign, then I don't think you need to ask people for more money. Maybe you should just do a thank you campaign and talk, maybe have stories of staff members and how they're giving back in ways that they are participating in, it's a global day of generosity. It doesn't have to just be giving money. So you can give thanks and you can talk about ways that people are giving back. So, my opinion is that I think if you already did a successful campaign, I probably wouldn't push it and try to do another campaign so soon. All right. I do not know what I'm doing, but I know that we need help and lots of it. None of us know what we're doing. We are and due to have our first event the 7th and 8th of August. So much needs to be done before then. Money would help tremendously. Would this be a good venue? How would you approach it to be successful? This is our first fundraiser ever. I'm nervous. First of all, is it an in-person event? Because I mean, I don't know if in-person events are going to still happen in August. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a government worker, but I do know that every single thing that I have been invited to speak at has postponed or canceled through the end of August. So I'm not going on a plane. I'm not speaking in person anywhere until probably September. But, you know, the key is not that you have an event that you have to raise money for. The key is, what are you asking money for? What's the purpose? What's your case statement? So you always have, the only two questions you have to answer, and I'm going to type them in the chat, is why this and why now? Why this? Why? Oh, I'm going to write it here. Why this and why now? Why this? Why now? That's it. Why are you doing this event and why now? And the why will help you create your case statement to raise money. So what is this going to accomplish? How is this going to move the needle towards solving the problem that I care about really deeply if I care about your organization? And what exactly is the purpose? Like, what are you trying to do? And it's not about the how. It's not about the event. It's not about the what. It's about the why. So focus on why this, why now, and get people excited about the why, because they're never going to be excited about the what. There are thousands of galas, there are thousands of golf tournaments, there are thousands of events, but they will be excited about the why, about your impact, about your accomplishments. Okay. If an organization is using GoFundMe Charity or Tiltify, I love Tiltify, or Facebook fundraising tools along with our normal channels, and I love Neon. Look at you, you're using literally all my favorite tools. Are we diversifying our ability to reach new donors or confusing donors? You do, I think you're reaching new donors because you're on multiple platforms, but certainly for your existing donors, you do need to send them to one place. So Tiltify is not for your existing donors. Tiltify is a place to find brand new donors, and usually Facebook is a place to find brand new donors. GoFundMe Charity is a place where you send existing donors. So it is important to understand that each of these platforms are used very, very differently for different purposes. So it completely depends. So GoFundMe Charity is great for crowdfunding. If you have a very specific goal, a specific project, and you want people to do peer-to-peer fundraising, then you're going to set up a GoFundMe Charity account and send people there. And then that campaign ends, and then people can no longer donate through that, right? Neon is your CRM, your donate button on your website, your evergreen donation portal. That's what Neon is. Facebook is for your network to set up fundraisers on your behalf and to reach their friends and family and to reach a brand new network of people. And Tiltify is for live stream fundraising on Twitch and YouTube and other channels. And now they are doing the TikTok donate button. But Tiltify is a place where you are going to reach a brand new audience through an influencer that has a channel. So I'm saying all this to say, every single channel you use needs to have a specific purpose and a specific strategy, right? You're not going to send your existing donors to Tiltify. That doesn't make any sense. You might send your existing donors to Facebook, but it probably won't be as effective. Send your existing donors to the place that they know and they trust, which is probably your Neon donate page. New donors you are going to find in Tiltify or Facebook. So I don't think it's confusing because it's reaching completely different buckets of people. But when you're having a fundraising campaign, you do want to pick one, like GoFundMe Charity or your website to send people, because that will be confusing. Text to give. I love text to give. I think text to give is fantastic. It's just another platform to manage. It's another iron in the fire for you. It's certainly not free. I have never found a text to give platform that's free. I have a text to sign up platform, a text like to sign up for my email list platform. But some text to give platforms that I really like, I like QGive. I'm going to put that in the chat. I like Mobile Cause. I would check with Neon because they might have a text to give function, or they're probably developing a text to give function. And I would talk to them. To me, I think any way that you can get a donor to give you money is great. Like set up a Venmo, set up a PayPal, set up all these accounts. The key is not to promote them all because that gets confusing. But if someone says, hey, do you have a Venmo? Do you have ability to text to give? Can I write you a check? You allow all of these things. You have the capability of processing all of these things. You don't necessarily promote them all. Okay. Now text to give is really great for in-person events. That's when it really is great because you can put it up on the screen. Everybody has their phone and they can say, hey, text to give to XYZ. So, if you are focused on running a crowdfunding campaign on GoFundMe, you probably don't want to give people 27 different options unless they ask you, and having them available, I think is good. All right. Is GoToNow a good time to launch a monthly donor program? I think absolutely. So I have seen last Giving Tuesday, I saw a lot of organizations launching monthly donor programs on like the regular Giving Tuesday in, I don't know what it was last year, November or December. I absolutely think it's a great idea. The key with that though is there has to be like, why this, why now, So is there a matching gift? Is there, maybe their first month is going to be doubled? There just kind of has to be this, why now? But also maybe it could be you're starting a new society, you're starting a new champions program, they're going to get an exclusive email newsletter. I don't know, whatever it is. There just has to be some kind of incentive because they know that they can give and sign up as a monthly donor any day and any time. But I think launching a monthly donor program on Giving Tuesday now is a great idea. Okay. How to leverage our social media network to spread our message. Using social media to get more participation in our online fundraising campaign. All right, I have a toolkit. Where's my toolkit? I'm going to throw another link at you in the chat. GoFundMe toolkit. This is a toolkit that I created with GoFundMe. I mean, it was specifically created for Giving Tuesday now, but you can use it at any time. So the 4 phases, let's see, the 4 phases of an online fundraising campaign: register and set up, customize the campaign, and spread the word. So if you get this toolkit, you're going to get a lot of information on phase 3, which is spread the word. And there's a lot of ways to spread the word. So I'm just going to go through these because it feels like this, I wrote this toolkit and this is really what I think. Number 1, going multi-channel. So not just relying on social media, but using email, maybe using direct mail, maybe using phone calls, but reach your donors where they are. Make sure you put a banner on your website so people can easily find information about the campaign. Send out a series of emails. Use your channels to ramp up participation. Don't just send the same link and the same text every single time. You do have to have quite a few different stories and graphics and social media content. And then if you're using GoFundMe, they have social AMP features, and then aim to turn your donors into fundraisers. So if someone has donated to your campaign, you can ask them, could you spread the word to 5 friends? Or could you start a fundraiser for us on your own? So those are really the ways to do it. And just keep on it. So you could also create a social media toolkit. Where do I have those examples? I'm just going to go to my blog because they're on my blog. If you create a social media toolkit, just creating the toolkit is not enough because you're going to have to get people to actually use it. But if you have a group of people that are ready and willing to spread the word for you, you do have to recruit them, you have to identify them, and you have to ask them, and you have to tell them what you want them to do. But creating a toolkit and putting it on your website is really a great option. And I was going to see if I had some examples. So this is right from the start in the digital age, the press release, you know, some pre-written sample tweets using the hashtag, some sample social media posts, email language, photos to use on social media, you know, how to connect with us, what you need to be doing. So I think that as easy as you can make it for people to share, what happens is that we often are very vague and we often just say, oh, go to our Facebook page and share a post, or go to our Twitter account and retweet something. Or even worse, we send out an email and say, follow and like us on social media. No one knows what that means. Tell me exactly what you want me to do. Write the tweet for me. Write the post for me. Give me the graphic. Send me the link to the video. Tell me what you want me to say, because I don't want to have to make that decision. I also don't, you know, if I'm a lay person, if I'm just kind of an average person, I don't really know what you want me to say. So as many tools and resources as you can give people and as much work as you can do up front for people, that's always helpful and effective. Okay, we've not had success with Giving Tuesday due to a myriad of factors: low board sharing, no internal support, lack of planning. I loved your ideas about approaching Giving Tuesday by encouraging engagement without asking for a give. My perspective as a fairly new and young hire is that we won't have a high achieving Giving Tuesday until we build up that online community engagement. Yes, you can't ask for money unless you have built up an audience. So can you imagine if I started my business 10 years ago, okay, which I did, if right out of the gate, I started selling an online course, like I had no engagement. I had a really small email list. I had a Facebook page of 100 people. Still don't have any staff, but I had no help. That just wouldn't work. Like, you can't do that. You have to build that online community first. And you have to get that trust and credibility first before you ask for money. It's like putting deposits in a bank. I say this all the time. If you've heard me say this, I apologize, but you probably, you know what I mean? You need to hear it again, maybe. Putting deposits in a bank. That's what social media is like. It's a value exchange. You deposit, and then you can withdraw. You cannot withdraw on a bank account that has zero funds, right? So we have to think about it as constantly making deposits. It's hard. It's time consuming. It is not an ATM. It is not a money spigot. It is not a silver bullet. It is not, we were sold some snake oil about social media, right? We were told, oh my God, we'll just participate and we'll ask for money and somehow the money is just going to roll in. Then we realized it's really a lot of hard work and a lot of community building, and a lot of content creation. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be polished. It doesn't have to be expensive, but you do have to show up consistently and give me something of value that I want, whether that is a 30-second video just telling me what's going on, or it's the executive director from her house saying, you know, this is what's going on in the issue of domestic violence. I know I had an organization that's working to try to raise awareness around child abuse right now, because child abuse reports are down 50%. But that's because people aren't, children are not with trusted adults. They're not with coaches. They're not with teachers. They're not with priests. They're not with other people, you know? So it's an interesting topic, and it's a really troubling topic, but they're trying to raise awareness about that. That's the kind of stuff that your donors want to hear and want to know about, because it's something that interests them. So yeah, a lot of people don't have success on Giving Tuesday because they don't plan. They don't have an ask that's very interesting or compelling, and they don't have an audience to draw from. So work on building up that trust and credibility with your audience, work on building up that engagement. And then, you know, when it comes to December 1st, which is Giving Tuesday 2020, then I want to see how you do. So keep in touch with me and let me know. We're an events-based org that sells civility and community. I don't know what that means. Selling civility, okay? For fundraising, any ideas how to make this relevant for our audience? Well, that's such an interesting question because I think the only thing right now that's relevant is civility and community. I think that might be the actually only thing that's important right now. So definitely frame your message around being civil, leading with compassion, and helping out your community members, because what else is there right now? There's nothing else right now. Okay. How to get started with digital fundraising campaigns, where to start. Well, I gave you that framework. So this is the framework that I would always give you. So definitely download this toolkit, but you know, planning and preparation. What are the 3 essential elements? The 3 essential elements that you need for any campaign, any online fundraising digital campaign. Campaign title, campaign goal, campaign story. What's your campaign called? How much do you want to raise? And in how much time? And what's your story? Why this? Why now? Start with why this? Why now? And then start with a goal. And then building an audience is also, you know, having people to actually ask. Good resources to start with online fundraising. Well, I would, you know, say my blog. Another fantastic resource is Nonprofit Tech for Good. This is Heather Mansfield. She's written some fantastic, fantastic books. Everything that she does is very practical and actionable. I would recommend signing up for her email list. I would look at, she has free webinars all the time, and I've given webinars with her. Online fundraising best practices for nonprofits. There you go. And she doesn't have a lot of free webinars right now. She might be going quiet right now, but she does have a blog. Comes out every week, rain or shine, how you can use live streaming, donation page practices. All of this is very, very actionable. So go to nptechforgood.com. I'm trying to think of other online fundraising, digital fundraising resources. One of my favorite resources is this CRM called Fundraise. So they have been doing a lot of webinars. They have been doing, I want to find their blog. They've been doing a lot of Q&A and a lot of free, you know, Facebook Lives. So Fundraise, their blog is really, really great. You know, donor message and timing, virtual events. So I would check those 2 blogs out. They're really pretty good. There's so many resources out there right now, but I really like those 2. Okay. How do I create captivating campaign messages? That's just such a great question. Well, first of all, you probably have to be a little provocative, right? You have to have a hook. What's going to hook me? What's your angle? It certainly isn't, we are a great nonprofit because we've been 60 years in the community. That's not a hook. It's something like, I was freezing cold and sleeping in a bus stop, and then I found Mary, and then Mary could be a staff member. What's the hook? It's storytelling. So your captivating campaign message is going to be a story, and it's going to explain to me exactly what you're raising money for and why. So it's going to tell me what's the problem and how can I be a part of the solution. So telling me a bunch of statistics and a bunch of data, telling me that like 10 million refugees have left Syria, which that's absolutely not the right data point. That's not going to stick to my heart like seeing that poor little 3-year-old boy face down. You remember that little boy that drowned? We all do, because we saw that photo, right? Stories of individual people. You don't have to have that kind of heartbreaking story, but stories of individuals rather than stories of 10 million people and throwing a bunch of data at me. I'm not going to remember that, and it's not going to captivate me. So using evocative details, like how did it feel? How did it smell? What did the person say? Talking about emotions are way more captivating than telling me a story of Jane was homeless. She came to our shelter. She got some help. She's great. Okay, well, that's not really a story. Talking about how Jane now feels a sense of dignity and pride, and she has a job that she loves, and she has a house, and she can provide for her kids, and how that makes her feel. Talking about how your mission, what it means in emotional language, especially for fundraising, that works so much better than simply just telling me a brief recap of kind of like what happened. Okay. I'm excited. I'm trying to see how many more are left. Okay. I'm excited for this opportunity to learn. My organization is a $3 million a year nonprofit performing arts center. A big fish in a small pond, where gathering is all we're required to do. This crisis has hit us extremely hard. Beyond Giving Tuesday, how do I continue to push and engage peer-to-peer campaigns? I mean, I would continue to say, this is what we're struggling with. So I've actually seen a lot of really effective campaigns from performing arts organizations. And I just showed you that one from my friend Will at Mass Opera. And then there's been a lot. I have a lot of examples. If you go to the coronavirus, I don't know why it's not letting me open anything, but anyway, if you go to the NP COVID Google Drive, I have a lot of examples from performing arts organizations in fundraising appeals, in social media updates. I think the key with all of this is not to overthink it. It's just to document what's going on. Tell people this is what's going on, and nobody can tell. You can't plan out your campaign for the next 6 months. You can't even plan out a campaign for the next 3 weeks because you don't know what's going to happen. So really we have to act like reporters and journalists, and we have to be in the moment. We have to be on, quote unquote, on the ground, like in our offices on the ground, but in our homes on the ground, but reporting and telling people what's happening and just being really honest and functioning like reporters. That's what I would encourage you to do. Tell me what's happening. How can my nonprofit raise funds to strengthen actions against the spread of COVID-19 in Benin? Actually, I spent 2 years in Senegal, West Africa, 2.5 years with the Peace Corps. I've been to Benin. It's a fabulous country. It's really beautiful. And it's all about showing people the effect of the crisis and telling people this is exactly what's going on. So the challenge right now is that every country everywhere is going through this. So if you're trying to raise money internationally, it could be challenging because like America is very focused on what's going on here because there's so much need here. So I would try to focus on your current donors, people that have given to you before, foundations that have COVID-19 emergency funds, and corporations that have emergency COVID-19 funds. And there's so many emergency funds out there for every single type of organization. I'm sure that you can find a fund or a foundation, but pull on your existing supporters, pull on your existing donors, even if there are 5 of them, ask them to ask 5 people and ask those 5 people to ask 5 people. And that's really how movements start. Can the theme be a featured person or a case study? You don't need a hashtagable theme because the hashtag is Giving Tuesday now. But I think some kind of a theme. I mean, I think like having it be around gratitude, having it be around what we're thankful for, having it be around storytelling. I think having some kind of theme is going to help you not kind of grasp at straws and help you focus. So I do think having a theme is ideal for you, but for your audience, it's really just what's relevant and what's interesting to them. All right, how best to continue fundraising after a goal is met and best connect with new donors. Oh, I love this. You can always increase your goal. You know, you can have a stretch goal. You can say, we raised the first 1,000. Now we have a stretch goal for 5,000, and think about what we could achieve with that. So the key is to always frame it in the realm of what, like, why are you raising money? What is it going to achieve? If you raise $1,000, can it be 10x if you raise 10,000? And if so, that's awesome. So tell me why there's a stretch goal. Tell me your vision for this money. Tell me what could be accomplished with this money. And then new donors, oh my gosh, you want to love on your new donors. So you want to make sure you're sending them a very special thank you email, not just a donation receipt, a thank you email in addition to the donation receipt. Maybe you're sending them a second thank you email telling them what their gift helped achieve, and then calling them if you can, writing thank you notes, doing all the old school stuff that does still really, really work to keep new donors in the fold. But the number one thing that donors want is they want to know their gift made a meaningful impact. So can you share the stories of the people whose lives were impacted with them, or the environment, or the animals, or whatever it is, the research? Can you talk to your donor about what it means that they are now part of your community and they've invested and they partnered with you, and just make it really emotional? If you can send a video, even better. I'm talking like a 30-second video. I have what is it called? I have free video email by Cloud HQ. It links to my Gmail. I'm going to just open my Gmail here. My inbox. I try to keep it sane. So I can compose an email, and I'm going to send this to my husband, and I can say, I love you. Hold on. And then I can, where is it? It should be in here. Well, it's clearly not working. Oh, more tools. There we go. I can send a video. It won't work because I'm using the video for Zoom. But anyway, it would work here. Let me stop my video. See if it'll work here. Okay. It can't work when like multiple people are using there we go. And then I just record a video like, hi, honey, I love you so much. And thank you for letting me be on Zoom calls all day. And then I stop it, embed video into the email. 2 seconds, and then I send it. So, I mean, all of you could do that for some of your donors. You don't even have to make it personal. You could just have the same video that you embed over and over and over. But I think video is really a great way to do this. Okay, trying to figure out if I should use GoFundMe for Giving Tuesday. Why do people share a GoFundMe campaign but not donate? It's interesting. I don't know. So maybe you have a really compelling and interesting cause, but you just don't have that emotional appeal. Like the reason why people don't give money is because they don't feel an emotional attachment. Giving money is something that's super emotional. So the reason why they don't give money is because you just haven't made the case to them as to why they should give money. So I would ask them. I would honestly email them and say, we are so glad that you shared our campaign on Facebook. Would you consider making a donation? You know, I think you might just have to go out and ask people. And then in terms of if you should use GoFundMe Charity, I think downloading that toolkit. No, I don't want to do that. Ugh. Downloading the toolkit that I talked about will definitely give you a really good reference as to whether it's going to be right for you. So whether you use on a Giving Tuesday now or not, I mean, I think it's worth checking out. Only because you can set it up in literally 1 second and start raising money and start asking people for money. And there's no subscriptions, and they only take, where are the pricing? They only take 1.9% plus 30 cents. So that processing fee is actually really low just compared to other platforms that I've seen. So I'm a big fan of GoFundMe Charity. They do a lot for organizations. And, you know, it's just one of my platforms, but you have to make that decision for yourself. I think it's a great place to house like a campaign where it's very much like we start at this date, we end at this date. We have a very specific price. I mean, a very specific goal. I think it's great for that. And they have a fantastic resource section. They have an awesome help center. They have fundraising guides. I mean, just look around at the help center just in general and look at some of their videos. And then you should be able to get a pretty good idea as to whether or not, you know, you want to use this platform or not. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. That's the new rate right now. So that's the current rate that's on their website. I think GoFundMe personal, like GoFundMe.com is different. This is charity.gofundme. So you have to have a 501c3 to raise money on charity.gofundme. The other GoFundMe, the one that individuals use to raise money for like medical expenses, that one has a really high percentage, and that because that's for individuals. But if you are registered with GoFundMe Charity, they used to be called Crowdrise, if any of you have heard of Crowdrise, but GoFundMe bought Crowdrise and turned it into GoFundMe Charity. So GoFundMe for individuals is very different because individuals can raise money for anything they want, but nonprofits have to have a 501c3. And of course they can raise money for anything they want, but they get the lower rate because they're a vetted nonprofit. So check it out. Even if you have a GoFundMe, you can switch it over. There's all sorts of things that you can do. So anyway, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for the questions. That seems to be all the questions, which I really appreciate. We're at 45 minutes. And I have some free webinars coming up with, Charity How To and other stuff coming up. So I think the best way to really stay in touch with what I'm doing is just to join my Facebook group. If you guys are not in that Facebook group, I just put it in the link. I'll send it to you as well in the email follow-up when you get this recording, and you get the links to all the resources that I mentioned today. So thank you so much. You're doing amazing work. You're doing the best you can. My best takeaway for you is don't focus on the tools. Focus on the message. You could use all the shiny new tools. You could set up a fundraiser on every platform. If you don't have that message, that compelling ask, that why now, why this, it's not going to work. So don't focus on the tools, focus on your message and you'll be good. And focus on your donors and send them a lot of love and give them a lot of love. And your staff members and everybody else. We all need a lot of love. My last Zoom call of the day. I'm very excited. And I'll see you all on another webinar or somewhere else, maybe in the Facebook group. All right, take care.